Hi and welcome. It is 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so it is time for Live with Kirsten. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching live, feel free to throw a comment in. If you have questions, let me know. Shoot me a DM if there are other topics you want me to do during these lives. Today, I am going to be talking about fear. So, where are fears stopping you? I'm going to share 5 keys to moving ahead. It's really just 5 questions. Um, but I end up working with clients for more than 20 years. We have spent a lot of time busting fears. And, fear has a place. We should definitely listen to our emotions, and fear is one of our emotions. And it has a place, it can protect us. Maybe our physical well-being is in danger and we need to shift what we're doing or be hyper vigilant. But the problem is that the way we live today, the fear that is often stopping us in our tracks or having us press pause, isn't really consistent with the actual level of physical danger that we have. That lizard brain, that the old world part of our brain that used to tell us, don't move, danger, and give us that accompanying adrenaline rush, isn't really fit for how we live, because making that cold call, going live in front of people, speaking on a stage, those kinds of things that can ignite fear, worrying about being found out, uh, doesn't put us in physical danger. So, but that primal part of our brain is still trying to do its work the old way. So, our innate reaction is the same: be still, listen, pause, be hypervigilant, but it doesn't really fit for what we're fearing. And if we listen to that innate sensation that has us pressing pause, and just that discomfort winning, it has us stopping us in our tracks too often. And the truth about fear is that the more we give into it, the bigger it gets. I always picture a blob. So a blob that it's actually before my time, the Blob movies, but, maybe the younger generation hasn't even seen the Blob movies. I am old enough to have seen the Blob movies, but it was just this gelatinous thing, that didn't move really that fast, but everyone was afraid of it. But it was oozy and gooey, and so it filled in all the nooks and crannies, and so it could kinda get anywhere, and I that's how I picture fear being, and it just grows and expands. I saw this in real time when my oldest son was little. He's now grown, but when he was little, he became afraid of thunderstorms. We had an issue where we were in the car. I think that's what ignited it, but we had to drive through a bad storm. And I think that's, again, what started it. But over the next, I don't know, year or so, I watched that fear grow, and it was so painful to watch because his life got smaller. And so for him at a younger age, it meant missing time outside by the pool. And so it started with, it's raining and windy, and maybe I'm hearing thunder. And so I'm going to go in the basement because I don't like thunderstorms and I don't want to be near it. And at that point, it kind of makes sense. We're not supposed to be outside necessarily during a thunderstorm. But then it started, if it's cloudy and windy, the wind and the clouds might bring rain and thunder. And so he would go in the basement. Then it was when it's windy, because the wind might bring the clouds might bring the rain might mean thunder. And so I'm going to go in the basement. So I watched again as that fear grew, and he was spending more and more time down in the basement. Often on beautiful days, it could be sunny and no clouds, but some wind. And again, that wind might bring what he feared. And I want you to stop and think about where fear uh, stops you in your tracks, where fear might be growing. What are some of the things that you fear? Sometimes it's a fear of being found out. So take a quick minute um, to think about, where are you expending energy hiding the truth versus working to fix what's not right? Is it a fear that someone might figure out that you don't know what you're doing fully, that maybe you need some help and support? You need to learn some new things to really fully function in your role. As a business owner, there's a lot, the weight of a team and making sure that you can continue to provide for them too. Will the business fail? All of those kinds of things. But ultimately, a lot of times the fears shouldn't, if we looked at them objectively, shouldn't carry so much weight, shouldn't be stopping us in our tracks. Again, say hi if you're watching. I'd love to know you're here. Um, but so here are, I'm calling them strategies, but really it's questions to help clarify. Very often when I'm working with clients and we're talking through fears, it's actually a generic fear that's stopping them. And again, a lot of times it's stopping them from having difficult conversations that they really need to have, making decisions, taking action, all the things that we need to do as business owners or in leadership positions. So, the first thing to do is get really clear. What is it I'm afraid of? So that's the first question. Get clear. Don't let it be this generic, swirling, big discomfort that you're trying to avoid and you don't even know what it is. If you don't know what it is, you can't implement any strategies to bust through it, remove it. You're just feeling the discomfort and stopping in your tracks. And so the first strategy is to ask yourself, what is the fear? Really, what is it? Get specific. It's a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of what people might think of me. I'm, worried about taking the next step, spending the extra money. What if I can't recoup? What if it doesn't build additional net profits for the business, et cetera? The next question to ask is, what's the worst that could happen? So again, when we just have swirling generic fear, there's no action to take. It's just discomfort and we're kind of duck and cover trying to avoid that feeling. There's no action to take. But once we name it, now we can take a look and say, okay, I've identified what it is. What are the chances or what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, what really is it? Once you've done that, now you can ask, what's the chance of this thing actually happening? So if it's that the business will fail, that's the worst thing. So you get specific. Making this next expenditure, I'm afraid that the worst thing that could happen is the business could fail. Sometimes it's fears that are less dramatic. Like, what if someone's frustrated with me? Well, what if they are? But so let's say it is like, what if the business fails? Then it's, what are the chances of that actually happening? And then you can start taking a look and thinking, wow, that generally, again, this is through doing this work for over 20 years with business owners. Most of the time, they say there's a really slim chance that that thing that is stopping me in my tracks will actually happen. So that's good. So now we're starting to kind of minimize the fear. It's like, oh, silly me. The next is, what would the outcome be? So if the thing did happen, so if that slim to none thing did happen, what would the outcome be? What would you do about it? Are there strategies that you could take to overcome, persevere, where really you might learn some things and everything would be okay anyway? So, like if the person got mad or frustrated with you or disappointed in you, or you had the conversation and the conversation didn't go well, what's the worst that would happen? Someone's angry with you. What are the chances that that would actually happen? They rarely get angry. We'd probably talk it through. Great. Let's have the conversation. If they did get angry with you, what would the outcome be? Well, generally, when they get angry with me, they go away, they think about it, they come back with a fresh perspective, and everything's fine. Oh, okay. Then does that fear need to be stopping you? Um, and then, if that thing did happen, also there is the, what would you do about it if it did? A lot of times we fail to give ourselves credit for all the things we have made it through life. Maybe you've been through something similar or worse, and you actually learned from it and grew, and you're more hyper vigilant. You learned some life lessons, some business perspectives, some new strategies to implement. You would bring all of that with you to this new problem if it did come to fruition. So keep that in mind, that you have a lot more tools in your tool belt maybe than when you faced a similar thing in the past. You bring more to bear with you. So, and then the fifth thing is so once you answer those 4 things, generally, I think 100% of the time, I can't think of a time when a client wasn't able to say, "You know what? Yeah, this is silly. It shouldn't stop me. I'm moving forward." And we create a specific strategy to implement, and all is well. The other thing is you can just feel that fear and say, "I'm not paying attention. Thank you, amygdala." That primitive brain of mine, the part of my brain that's primitive, forget it, I am doing it anyway. So, thank you for igniting the caution. I've done the due diligence, and I'm moving forward anyway. So, let me run you through the 5 again. So, when you have a generic swirling fear that's growing and stopping you in your tracks, you ask, "What specifically is this fear exactly? Is it something about me being found out? Am I lacking confidence? Am I missing some skills? Is it worry about the business, some of my team, the products, my clients, my patients? What specifically is the fear?" The next is, what's the worst that could happen? Now that you've named it and gotten specific, what would happen? What's the worst that could happen if the thing came to fruition? What are the chances of this thing that you're worried about now that you've given a name actually happening? Generally, it's pretty slim, slim to none. The next is, what would the outcome be if it did happen? So, if that slim to none percentage situation did occur, what would be the outcome? And would I be empowered in any way to do something about it? Would I have to be a victim, or do I have some tools in my tool belt, some strategies that I've learned through my lifetime where it would be okay? I could face it. I could fix things. Everything would be okay. So that will likely get you in action. And then the other thing is you can just simply say, "Thank you, amygdala." Mine's named Gertrude. You can name your amygdala if you want. But thank you, Gertrude. But I'm going to do it anyway. All right. So I hope you found some inspiration and some strategies that will help you bust through any fears that are stopping you in your tracks. If you are looking for any additional strategies, reach out to me always. Just send me a DM where you're watching this, or you can grab a spot on my calendar. Go to focusforwardcoaching.com/book call. I also have a wealth of digital content available 24/7 at myimpactacademy.com/join. You can find video, audio, PDF downloads, all kinds of valuable information to help you as an individual and as a leader really be your best. So check that out as well. Again, that's myimpactacademy.com/join. Thanks for watching me. Again, leave your comments or send me messages. I am here to help. Please connect. Take care.